Hi, I'm Jennifer von Stein, the resident artist for Chroma, and I'm going to talk to you today about varnishing your atelier interactive painting. Now, the first thing to know about varnishing an interactive painting is that you want to make sure that you've waited until your painting has cured. Generally, your interactive painting is be cured in about a week to 2 weeks from the last time that you've touched your painting. I personally like to wait at least 2 weeks. How long it's going to be is going to depend on your surface, your humidity, how thickly you've painted, and of course what mediums that you've added. For example, if you've added lots of slow mediums to your interactive, mediums that are designed to help slow down that curing process, then obviously it's going to take a little bit longer to cure than if you've just used interactive paint just straight. So first thing, wait about 2 weeks before you varnish. Artists often want to know why they should varnish their acrylic painting. And there are a couple of reasons. First and foremost, you want to protect your painting from all the exposure that's going to have to the elements. Things such as dust or smoke. Varnishing a painting makes it easier to clean. Acrylic paintings can be dust magnets. The other main reason why artists varnish is for aesthetic purposes. Interactive, like other acrylics, is going to dry, with different sheens depending on the type of mediums that you use. Overall, interactive has a really nice satin finish. But when I add a little bit of water here, maybe a little bit of medium here, the sheen is going to vary. So by varnishing, I can unify all of it. So once I've applied my binder medium to help protect it, my next thing I want to do is let this dry, or in a case like this where I am in a studio situation, I'm just going to use my hair dryer and I'm going to dry this binder, and then I'm going to be able to apply the varnish. Okay, now that I've applied my isolation coat of binder and it's dry, I'm ready to proceed with the next step, with this varnishing. And I'm going to be using the Atelier Satin Medium Varnish for my varnish to bring out those colors of my nice darks and to really give it that satin finish, which is going to be very, very pleasing. Now, whenever you're using a water-based varnish, of course, you always want to read the directions, read the back of the label first, just to make sure you're following what you should do. And of course, if you're new to varnishing, you probably want to find an old or a failed painting and test this whole procedure first. Varnishing is not a difficult skill, but like with any technique, practice makes perfect. So I have some varnish put aside here in a little cup, and I'm going to use a nice soft brush when I apply a varnish. I have brushes that I have reserved specifically for varnishing, so I'm not going to use them with my painting. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first apply some varnish vertically, and then I'm going to apply horizontally once this first coat has dried. Now, you do not want to overwork your varnish as it's drying, because if you do, you might start to trap some moisture or get some other air, and that's when your varnishes can become cloudy, or you can have, some mishaps. But just brush it back and forth real light, taking care not to overwork. A lot of times when I teach this technique, I tell my students just do one stroke and don't touch, and one stroke and don't touch, kind of like what you would do with watercolor washes. Now, this varnish is going to go on milky, but it is going to dry clear. It's also going to have a lot of self-leveling that's involved. So if you maybe see like some pools or whatnot, you can try and get them out quickly, as soon as you see them. But if it's starting to dry, just let it go. The reason I like to go horizontally or vertically the first time and then go horizontally is because varnishing is usually done best with multiple thin coats. You don't want to apply a really heavy coat of varnish all at once. Just do it a few times vertically, then horizontally, maybe even the direction of your major forms, of your major masses. That's all going to work really well. Now that I've applied my first coat of varnish vertically on this painting, I'm going to let this dry. I'm not going to force it dry with the hair dryer. That's not a good idea. Best just to let it dry on its own. Usually takes, an hour or so, depending on the humidity. So I'm going to let this sit up. Then I'm going to do another coat or two, and I'm going to show you the final painting, at the end. It's the next day, and I've applied a few more coats of the varnish. What I did once my first coat of satin medium varnish was dry is that I proceeded to just go in the opposite direction. By applying a second coat of varnish the opposite way, it allowed me to catch all those holidays or those spots where the varnish didn't take. I let that second coat dry, and then I applied a third one. Let that dry, and then I even applied a fourth coat of varnish. For that coat, that final coat, I ended up applying the varnish in the direction of my major masses, just to kind of give it a little bit more of an edge. What this satin varnish does, it helps bring out the rich colors, especially in my darks. In this area over here, in my back trees, I can see more of the warm violets. I can see some of the deeper blue greens. In my water area, it helped really bring out some of those yellows and the blues, and overall, it's given my painting a very, very pleasing finish. So I encourage you, when your paintings have cured, to consider varnishing your work to add that final protective layer, as well as to enhance the aesthetic sheen. For more information on varnishing and on interactive, please visit our website at www.chromaonline.com.